If there's one thing I know a lot of vloggers struggle with in the very beginning, it's editing and how to actually put together a simple, cohesive vlog that's actually watchable. No flashy cuts or fancy transitions, just something that's very much led by the narrative and then backed up by the B-roll. So in this video, I'm going to take you through a very simple and relatively quick editing workflow that you can use when you need to film your next vlog. And I'm going to show you in real time how the whole edit comes together. Now, before I jump into the edit, this video does have a sponsor, which is Motion Array, because a lot of the assets that I'm going to be using during the edit are from there. And I'm going to show you exactly why you'd want to use them and how easy they are to actually implement into your edit as well. So the first part of this is actually what you do with the footage once you've recorded it. So the first thing that I do is tend to organise all my footage. So I go through, and most of the time I've actually filmed everything in a very linear way. So it's not that difficult to actually organise that footage. One of the things that I make sure I do when I'm naming the files is I will number them so they are all in sequential order, and I'll just go through all the files to make sure that they are in sequence, and then I will name anything that's B-roll as B-roll so that I can quickly look through the list and say, okay, let me just look through these B-roll clips for this section, and then I can use those clips where I need to. And then anything where it is primarily just a talking head, I will make sure that I label what the talking head was, and then I'll put TH at the end so that when I quickly look at that list, I know that those files are the talking head files. So then the next part is to actually import the footage, and what I tend to do is organise my footage in Final Cut. So I will have different events for different types of media. So for my talking head, I will have a talking head event, and for my B-roll, I will have a footage B-roll event, and then for things like the assets, such as images, I'll have an assets event. Then music, I'll have a separate event for that, and sound effects, I'll have a separate event for that. And it just helps me to visually organise everything so that I can quickly reference what I need to and get what I need to from the, what's that bit called? It's not the inspector. Is it the inspector? Whatever that section is called, that bit of Final Cut. I can't remember, the media area. So since I start with my talking head, I will always start with the talking head because it's the meat of the video. And I tend to just drop this straight onto my timeline. But what I tend to do first is make it a compound clip, because anything that I want to do to that talking head, I want it to apply to every single clip that I cut from the talking head, and I don't want to have to do it individually after once that long talking head has been cut up. So I will create compound clips so that I can then just go in and easily apply a color grade or adjust the audio levels, and then it'll just apply it to every single clip that I cut from that talking head. And so what I'm doing with the talking head piece is going through and trying to cut out the dead spaces, so places where I've paused or places where I've messed up, and just make it sound coherent. And that is basically forming the main narrative of the vlog. And obviously, if you're moving around and you're going to various different places, then you're going to have different talking heads. And I do this in sections. So if I've got talking head section, a talking head for one part of wherever I was in a location, and then I've got B-roll, then I'll work on that as a section. And then if I have another section where I do have a talking head, and then I've got B-roll for that section, then I work on that as a section. So I make sure that I'm finishing one section before I move on to the next one, just because for me, it works better that way, because when I get to the next part, which I'll tell you about in a minute, it's about cuts and transitions and whatnot, it makes it easy to then apply those transitions that you need once you've actually finished the section itself. So once I've chopped up my talking head, the next thing is adding transitional B-roll. So whilst I'm out filming my vlogs, I will make sure that if I'm moving from one location to the next, I will get some transitional B-roll so that whoever's watching knows that I've moved from one location to another location. And that's what I use as my transitional B-roll. So this generally tends to go at the end of the talking head section, and that basically is just linking you from the talking head that just finished and the area that you were in, and then leading you to the next area that you're going to, so that there isn't a weird jump. Try and figure out what to look for in the camera that you're buying. The other thing to consider is also how you see your skills developing, and whether you see this as being So the next part, once I've finished the one section, is to then think about adding sound effects. And most of the time I add sound effects because I want to enhance what's already there. So if I've got some B-roll and it's a busy environment, or I'm in a forest, for example, and you normally hear birds, if you can't really hear the birds that well, then I might add a track where I add birds. Or traffic, if I'm in a city and the traffic just came out quite muddy and not very clear, then I might find a really nice clear sound effect that I can replace that original audio with, so that it just sounds a little bit better, or just add more, so just to enhance it a little bit more. So that's when I would use sound effects. And it's also worth mentioning that with Motion Array, when you select a sound effect, you'll actually get a list of similar sound effects to the one that you've just selected. So you can actually download that entire group of sound effects, and then you can bring it into your project and see which one fits the best. But it just gives you a variation so that you don't have to then go through and download loads of different individual ones to find the one that's going to fit the best. Music is also a part of that, so I will use music to transition from one scene to the next. And so this is where, again, if you're working on a section at a time of your vlog, then it makes it easier to actually implement that music and make sure that it flows nicely throughout the vlog. And so you can hop over to Motion Array and go to the music tab and then listen to a load of different music tracks and try and find the one that's going to fit the best to your vlog. You can even do this by just selecting the specific genre that you want, and then you can just go through and listen to what's going to be the best fit. With some of these tracks as well, just kind of like the sound effects, you have different versions of the actual track. So if you want a slightly different variation of the track that you like, then you can basically go through, and it gives you a nice handful so that you can choose the best one that's going to fit for you. And so next, this is something that I tend to do at the end because I like to make sure that the main talking head, so the narrative, is completely sorted out, and then I've got any sound effects for the transitional, B-roll and music leading into the next part of the vlog. But obviously, if you're out vlogging, you will have also filmed more B-roll that's not just for you to transition from one spot to the next, but actually to give more context and depth to what you're actually talking about. And so at that point, what I tend to do is put placeholders where I want my B-roll to go. And then I'll go back through my B-roll and I'll think, okay, I can use that clip, I'm going to put it in that spot, and I'll use that clip, I'm going to put it in that spot. And the reason that I put placeholders in place is because if I look at my timeline and I see any green areas, I know that I need to fill those gaps with B-roll. Whereas if I just leave it completely empty and there aren't any placeholders there, then I have to keep going back through the video and watching it through to see where I need to put the B-roll. So I'd rather just go through the whole video once I've done the sections of the talking head and whatnot, and put placeholders there, and then I can just think, okay, I want the B-roll to last this long, I'll make the placeholder this long, and then I can, once I've done that for the whole video, I can just go back through and think, okay, I need this clip for here, it's going to last this long, I need this clip for here, and I can just put it all in, and then I don't have to do it in any particular order then. If I have my B-roll and I'm kind of jumping around and thinking that clip would be good to go at the beginning, this clip would be good to go at the end, or anything like that, then I know that I can just, again, look at my timeline and think, okay, there's still some places here where the B-roll is missing, just because I can look at those green bits and see what needs to go where. Okay, so the final part to this, which you don't need to do, but you can do if you want to just add a little bit more information to your vlog, is adding motion graphics. And these can be lower thirds so that you can write down the location that you're in, or if you go to a specific restaurant, for example, or if there's something in particular that you just want to give a little bit more information to, then you can get some motion graphics and then you can add your text to those. So you can search through Motion Array's library and you can grab packs of motion graphics so that you can, again, pick and choose what you want from that pack. And then it's really easy to add your text to it because they're all transparent backgrounds. So you just drag it onto the timeline and then you can put your text over it. I tend to add a little bit of fade to the text, so the text will fade in and fade out along with the motion graphic animating in and out. And then once you've done that, that's pretty much it. So don't forget to check out Motion Array because you can get 2 extra months free on any annual plan with the link in the description. I hope this was helpful. If it was, don't forget to hit the like button and I'll see you on the next video.